JDM tackle has become synonymous with words like quality, innovation, craftsmanship. When I think of the best lures made, it's hard to find a brand that represents the overall quality of precision and craftsmanship better than Duo Realis. So today I am going to take you guys on a never before seen special treat. We are going to tour this factory and I'm going to show you how much work, how many hands and how much love goes into making some of the best lures in the world. So if you'd like to come with me, let's go tour. Welcome!
Welcome to Duo!
Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, good to see you.
We're from Duo.
Yes.
Welcome to Duo.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. We are super excited to showcase not just Duo, but how much pride this company has in making baits. And I know that Duo makes incredible lures, but you also OEM a lot of very famous Japanese brands. And a lot of history happens right here in this building. So can you show me around and let me share with everybody what really goes into making a great Japanese lure?
Yes, of course.
Sure.
Let's go.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things that makes Duo so special is the lineage of the brand. So a lot of brands, as they grow and they become big brands, the president of the company ends up becoming more of a businessman and then all his, scrubs and minions below. One of the things that's special about Duo is the president literally is involved in every step of the process with every OEM brand. So a brand will come to Duo, have an idea, and he will literally hand carve and hand design, hand develop, and work side to side with these other brands and make the perfect bait for them. All that knowledge and all that history and all that experience, he's also taking and applying it into his own brand. So he sees things that works. He sees things that don't work. And there's so much knowledge here that when they produce a bait, there is almost a 30-year history of the right way to do it. And it speaks for itself when you see the finished product and what you guys are about to experience and what goes into this. This is gonna be very special. I'm excited to show it to you. So let's do it. All right, guys, so we are in the epicenter of kind of where the magic happens here at Duo. This is the Brainstorm Center. Now, as you can see behind me, you have potentially the world's most sophisticated test tank. And we're on a big platform here. There are couches and rods that sit up around. And this is where the minds come to think of new products, to develop new products, to work on new products, but then to certainly test the new products and see if those ideas can actually come to life. So what you're gonna see as we tour this factory is you're gonna see a very family bond in an atmosphere that's very unique to what we're used to seeing in the US. There's definitely a culture here of fishing. A lot of times on lunch breaks, they're down here testing new lures. You've got developers in and out, taking an idea, creating the idea, coming down here and working on it. So this is basically where every Duo lure begins. It starts here, obviously, but this is where the actual product comes to life. And it's anything from soft baits to, hard baits, and they'll have, different weights, different lengths, 4.9 grams, 4.8 grams, 4.7 grams, and they'll be able to test all those little, tweaks and differences and make sure that it works. And this isn't just some shallow pool, right? This is literally a 6-meter deep test tank with rocks and with smooth bottom, with ramps, with trees, every obstacle that you would typically come in contact with on a day on the lake, so that they can make sure that the baits are coming through real world scenarios before they even get in the tester's hands. So it starts here, and let's show you how these baits are made. I think you guys are gonna be blown away by this. Okay.
Assembly.
Okay.
Start from here. We call set process. Set each component to the body before the assembly.
So what you're seeing is the blank has been created at this point. And I wanted to show you guys how many hands actually touch these baits. So right now they're doing the set process. So they're taking a blank and they're literally installing by hand each component inside. So in this particular bait, there's a weight transfer system, there's a swiveled hook keeper, there's tungsten weights, there's the eye. So each one is getting set, and then it's going down the process as we continue to go through everything. So it will come from here and then go to the next step. All right, guys, so now we have moved on to a very important step. I'm sure you guys can imagine that usually most lures have two halves that come together, right? And in my basic way of thinking, I used to always just think that the two halves were glued. Well, here, and that's actually very common, but here at Duo, instead of using glue, you'll notice that they're using a very special chemical that they put on the two halves that actually kind of melts the two halves together. So it bonds it and kind of melts it together and it becomes one. So they'll lay the bait in the material, they'll put it together, and then by hand, they are placing these clamps very strategically on each lure to keep it compressed so that it has a chance to completely melt and bond. And then by hand, they're again going around reinforcing places that need reinforcement, like the eye or the hook hangers. It's an incredibly time-intensive, labor-intensive step. It's very delicate. As you can see, each lure has different placements that the clamps need to be. So each one of these artisans really need to know every lure that comes through here. And we're not talking just Duo, we're talking every brand that they OEM is the same process as well. So just an incredible step, really fascinating to watch it. But a super vital piece to what they do that really sets up the next couple processes. All right, guys, so after that last process, it comes to a stage that's called debarring. Now, as you can imagine, when you put two halves together and you bond them, potentially there could be maybe a rough edge or maybe a piece that's not just perfectly flat, right? Maybe small little bars. So it comes to a room where everything basically just smooths out the process. So it may start with a sander and it literally goes to basically scraping and blading down the bait to where it's perfectly flat. There's no inconsistencies. You're not getting any little woobie or anything on that bait. It's just a perfectly smooth, symmetrical bait that now is ready for the painting process. So again, an incredibly labor-intensive process, but a vital one to the end result. So we're gonna go from here to a pretty exciting stuff. All right, before we get it to the painter, each blank goes through one more quality control test. This is the water intrusion testing station. So each blank is going to be put, again by hand, into a tank that's full of warm water. So this water varies from 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. So it's hot water that now is surrounding the bait. Any air that's inside that bait is going to try to escape. So they're going to meticulously check each bait. If any bubbles come out, the bait's rejected. So they want absolute 100% perfect quality, and this is where it begins. It's a crazy process, but a vital one. All right guys, so now we're gonna get into the painting process on these baits, which is just as meticulous and time consuming as the production part. So we are at basically a foil machine at this point. As you guys can imagine, many lures have some type of foil, whether it's kind of a holographic finish to it or maybe a shine. So this is the type of machine that they will use to imprint that foil on. It's an incredibly intense, accurate machine. So the craftsman that's doing it has to be on the game. Everything is automatically happening. Everything, the tape is rolling out, has to be placed at the exact right moment. The machine comes down, puts the foil on, and then everything is slotted to the side. When one full row or tray is done, then she'll go back through, flip the baits around, and foil the opposite side. So each bait gets 2 times through this machine before it even goes up to the painting process. So really fascinating to watch. I mean, I love just watching it, but a super critical part of any of the foiling process on these baits. All right guys, we're gonna go into the paint room, but before we do, they take this very seriously. This isn't just like garage painting, right? So I have to go through a wind shower to make sure I have no dust on me. But even installed in the hallways, there are these like anti-static humidifiers basically to make sure that the humidity and the lack of static is at a perfect temperature. It's just the perfect situation for painting so that no dust, nothing gets on there, so that the consistency is at as high a level as possible. So excited to bring in here, let's do it. All right guys, so we are in the paint room now, where basically an entire room full of highly trained artisans are going to hand paint every one of these baits. And this is an incredible process. I'm not much of a painter, but I can appreciate craftsmanship when I see it. Every color is going to have anywhere from 3 to 10 different layers. So potentially each one of these baits that you're getting will have 10 different, possible paint steps through the process, from an overcoat to maybe just a stripe to a dot. Every one of those little colors that you see in your bait is done by hand by one of these artisan painters. So it's an amazing process to watch. I could literally just sit here all day and watch this, but super highly trained, and they'll start from just being an overcoat artist, and they will slowly train through the years to where they can develop their craft to just be precise and the same and consistent every time. So just amazing. I want you guys to see this. All right, so what you're seeing is you're seeing the final step of the paint process. This is the final clear coat. Basically just solidifies all the paint, gives it one more step of protection on there. This is the clear coat master that's doing the work here, and it's just, you know, it's crazy. I don't know why I didn't think there would be so many steps to making amazing lures, but it's mind-boggling to watch it. All right guys, so now we are at final inspection time. So you've seen the whole process. Now it has to pass one more step of inspection. They are meticulously looking at every lure for any potential flaw. And this could be something as small as one little speck of paint on a lip, one little piece of dust in a clear coat. It doesn't pass the test. Those lures are put to the side. You're never gonna see them. They start over from the beginning, or probably go in their own arsenals, right? But this is such an important step, and this is why every Duo lure is consistent from one to the other. If you bought a lure in January and you buy a lure in June, this is why the colors look the same. This is why the quality is always the same, because of this step right here. They are trying to find mistakes, not trying to pass things over. It's just an amazing process. You can see everything gets scoured. It's really impressive. So now we're at the final step in the paint process. This is the stamping machine. So every Duo bait's gonna have some type of logo, whether it's the Duo logo or the G87 logo. In this case, stamped on the top of it. Again, done by hand here with this incredible machine, very meticulous. But just a way of putting that final stamp of quality. As you can see, the commitment to excellence here is just outstanding. So let's keep going. All right guys, and a lot of Duo lures will feature a different paint process called reel paint. So, you know, something like a real bluegill or a real Konashiro. This is actually done by a super sophisticated computer that you're seeing behind me that will basically paint and print these reel schemes on there as well. So it's kind of a hybrid system now of hand paint and these machines, but it allows them to create some beautiful reel color patterns on there that couldn't otherwise be done. So pretty neat system there as well. Here at Duo, every little piece of the manufacturing process is done in-house. So we're sitting next to a machine right now that's creating eyeballs for the lures. So, you know, something like this could very easily be outsourced, but with Duo's commitment to controlling the quality and creating excellent precision baits, they want to create everything in-house, and this allows them to design it to the exact size, specs, colors, thickness, whatever they want for the bait that they are producing. So the machine behind me is creating these eyes. Once it's finished in the paint process, it'll be assembled, clear coated, and you have a finished product. Most of you guys know Duo by their hard baits, but Duo also makes amazing soft plastics as well, which is also done in-house. So as you can see, they have, you know, a whole floor full of machines to produce your soft plastics, and then everything is hand packaged. So when you open that package, I don't know who you thought was putting those baits inside of there, but you're seeing a couple of the craftsmen that are doing it right now. Meticulous, perfect, so that every tail is not crunched, every bait is flat. It's a super dope process as well. All right guys, so that is a wrap of the factory. You know, when you think of something that's handcrafted, I generally think of like a single artist in his garage, you know, doing every step of the process by hand. And what you guys just saw is essentially handcrafted pride on just a much bigger level. You think that by the time a bait is finished, there's about up to 30 hands that have touched that bait. So you're talking about potentially 30 different people that have gone through the process and have handcrafted a piece of that lure that arrives to you. It's pretty special. It's an amazing facility. Thank you guys for introducing us and for taking us through the tour. What a special place you guys have here. So amazing commitment to quality that I've never seen ever. So very impressive. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? And thank you again for allowing us to come along and see behind the scenes. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Duo is a one-of-a-kind place, and you can really see the importance of the quality that goes into these amazing JDM lures. So, should we go fishing now? Let's go catch some fish, guys, okay? Arigato gozaimasu. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. That's a wrap for us. See you guys.